When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can seem intense. Like breakup R&B intense.
I thought you said you loved the sweater that I got you. If you didn't, you could have told me.
Geico makes it easy. Just go to Geico.com anytime to update or check your policy without all the extra drama.
I even had a gift receipt.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good evening. Thank you for tuning in to Awakening to Natural Wellness. Today is January the 25th, 2015. I am your host, Katina Shaw, intuitive and natural wellness coach. Today's show is Spirit, Consciousness, and Holistic Healing, Part 3. This is a series that has been going on for 3 weeks and will take place for some time. Every week we'll have a new guest. Going forward, our show will be from 5:30 until 6 p.m. Our guest today is Nada Crystal. Nada specializes in the emotional, mental health, and wellness of women and teenage girls. She combines holistic healing modalities along with her certification as an NLP practitioner to create a personalized blueprint for each person she guides. This ensures progression at a steady and true-to-self pace. Nada also pulls from her first 14-year battle with severe depression and suicidal tendencies. This experience gives her a unique ground floor perspective and is what keeps her rooted in compassion, empathy, and love. Nada, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Katina.
Awesome. So we're going to get started.
Okay.
Since this show is about spirit, consciousness, and holistic healing, I'd like to know, in your own words, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, okay, so spirit, consciousness, and holistic healing. When I hear that, basically what it basically resonates to me is just the inclusion of the whole self in regards to taking care of self, balancing self, knowing how to address, the self, but on holistic level per se. Spirit and consciousness, to me, it is basically intertwined. Spirit and consciousness, but on the flip side of that, it's consciousness. Of course, it means just coming into awareness of something. So, just for me, it's just the awareness of the self, the spirit, and how to support and maintain it, basically.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You have a very beautiful story of how you got started on your spiritual path, and I was truly inspired, truly touched by it. And I would like for you to share with the audience what led you to your spiritual path. To share with them, basically what you shared with me, your story. What led you to where you are now spiritually?
Sure. So of course I'll just basically do the somewhat condensed version of it. How I came to be on the path I'm on right now basically stemmed from my own 14-year battle with severe depression and suicidal tendencies. And during that time, it was a journey or a battle that was actually done in silence because of the basic stigma that we have in regards of addressing or being open about certain things that we may need as women, or even if we may need a break, especially if we're a mom, or for those that are, spouses, they may feel a certain type of guilt, when they feel that they may need a break or kind of step away for a moment. So basically I kept all of that bottled in for basically 14 years. Every day it was a mental torment of the different what ifs and how to go about following through with some of the suicidal thoughts. And, so basically for 14 years I just existed in this life. I wasn't engaged in life. I was basically just existing for basically 14 years. And it was a combination of different events that kind of happened that kind of led me that kind of led up to the introduction, if you will, of certain healing modalities, which the very first one was the art of journaling, and it wasn't just the regular, journaling in regards of how my day went like this. It was literally as though I was pouring my pain out on the paper. It was literally as if it was just taking everything and just releasing it, through the art of journaling. So that basically led me, into exploring and studying different holistic ways to bring the self back into balance. That's where I was introduced into self-awareness, becoming aware of oneself. And that is basically what was the starting point or the springboard that kind of put me on the path of studying and then ultimately, getting my certification as an NLP practitioner. So all of those different modalities combined, again, as you were stating, with the different NLP techniques, basically is a result of that, 14 years, because I'm a firm believer that we all may need assistance, every now and then. I don't feel that anyone should be ashamed or feel guilty for extending their hand out for needing, some assistance every now and then or along the way. But I also am a fan of self-empowerment and the advancement, of self. I'm a firm believer that the answers that we seek definitely do reside within ourselves. It's just learning how to actually tap into that. So that's basically what those 14 years allowed me to do, is to take a peek. It was a hard peek for 14 years, but nevertheless it allowed me to take a peek into the different ways in which the self is totally capable of healing itself if given the opportunity.
Absolutely. And then you talk about journaling.
Mm-hmm.
That within itself is so therapeutic. It's so therapeutic.
Yeah.
To write and to release and to, put your thoughts out on the paper and deal with that pain that you were dealing with at that time that way versus
Absolutely.
lashing out at others or, it was I know for myself it's very therapeutic to write, to journal, and to just, you get in tune with yourself that way too. And with
Absolutely.
spirit that way, with writing and journaling. I mean, that is just amazing. It's so therapeutic, and I can relate to that.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a very, very touching story.
Thank you.
That led you to where you are now.
Mm-hmm.
And I just believe that you can help so many people with your story, in which you already are. And I just think that is truly, truly amazing.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So this whole consciousness, higher consciousness wave that is taking place on the planet today is just so amazing, and I just feel so blessed that I was able to connect with you on that level, because we are to that higher energy, that higher frequency, which is spirit, which is God, which is universe, which is us. We are all that. And
absolutely,
we are all on this journey together. And you know, what we're doing is we're awakening. So we have this great power within us, and some people think, a great number, a great majority of the population thinks that spirit and consciousness think that God is outside of us. But God is a frequency, He's an energy. The universal, it's an energy that we tap into, which is part of who we are. And we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And, you know, sometimes it just takes going through some things before we realize who and what we really are.
Absolutely.
And, you know, to be able to go through things in life and then to be able to come around and tune in and blossom from those experiences is just truly amazing.
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you want to share the services that you offer?
Sure, definitely. Right now, what I'm doing, I actually have a program called the Blue Healing Program, and basically what I had did was basically streamlined what it was that I wanted to offer and share with the different with women and teenage girls. So basically what Blue Healing is, it just really just focuses on and just it basically focuses on the emotional difficulties that some women and teenage girls may be facing today. You know, because when we're imbalanced emotionally, it really just spirals the rest of our lives. And then sometimes as women, we may get a bad rap, you know, because we may get you guys are so emotional. But every human has an emotion. What makes the difference is if the emotions are balanced or not. And that's what Blue Healing actually is about. It's an educational piece as well as a healing piece to understand the purpose of emotions, how to utilize emotions so that they're productive versus counterproductive. Blue Healing is about learning how to become more responsive versus more reactive. Then the other spectrum of it is the healing piece, where those that, of course, that are having those difficulties, we journey together to get to the root of what's actually causing a different emotional difficulty, whether it's stress, whether it's grief, whether it's some form of depression, whether it's feelings of hopelessness. The list really can be endless, you know, but at the same time, you know, again, instead of looking at, oh my goodness, I'm stressed, we go to the why are you stressed? You know, because the stress itself, of course, is just a symptom. There's a reason why you're actually stressed, and so that's what Blue Healing really is about. Most times, I offer private sessions. I'm going into the part where I'll begin to offer open classes, and then there's the other spectrum of it where I will be offering a program or a supportive type open class for African American women, specifically just for African American women that may be dealing with depression and suicidal tendencies themselves, because it is such a silent epidemic amongst us. I really just want other women, other African American women to know that they are not alone, and also again to begin to understand to begin to understand how to begin to navigate out of that, you know. So I do offer the private classes, and again, I'm about to transition into offering the open classes here as well. So those are my offerings, and then once the weather breaks, you know, that's when I really have a lot of the different self-empowering gatherings and events. So, yeah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. What area will those events take place?
The areas are basically kind of spread out. Some may take place here in Detroit or the surrounding Metro Detroit area. Some may be taking place in the Westland, Ypsilanti area. Yeah, so they really just kind of like spread out. But those that, you know, will be interested, of course, and I'm sure you're going to get to this part, they'll be able to find out all of that, you know, by visiting my page or, you know, my website where exactly all the events will be once the events do start to happen.
Awesome. Would you like to share any testimonies and how others have benefited from your services?
Sure. Let's see. Okay. So one of the foundational aspects of guidance with me is the understanding and the laying the ground of self-awareness. Because I've found that if your level of self-awareness is non-existent, then anything that we build upon that will be quite shaky. Because every form of, I don't want to say every, but the majority of most healing modalities, they have a core or a foundation of knowing and understanding the self. So that basically means that for you to understand when you are off center, you have to know the flip side of that, which is what it feels like, or to know when you are centered. So that is a area that I really spend time on. And I really take time with establishing the basis and the necessity of understanding, of showing them how to recognize their own self-awareness, because I believe that self-awareness can't be taught. I can show you how to recognize it yourself, but I can't technically teach you how to be self-aware. So it was one particular sister that I was guiding, and actually still guiding. And one of the things that she shared with me was how great her self-awareness, her perception of self-awareness has become. She says now, even if she gets upset or if she goes into an emotional spin, if you will, she becomes aware of it before it gets out of control, and she wasn't able to do that before. Before, it was she's an emotional spin, and she's spiraling out of control, and then by the time she gets to me, we have to, do quick work, per se, to kind of bring all of that together and kind of sweep it together to say, okay, this is what we're going to do. I need you to do X, Y, and Z. So it's like almost, I don't want to call them emergency techniques, but it's just how to quickly bring the self back to center. So it's just now that she's able to recognize her own self when she's getting off center is putting her more in control of her own self, which means she's more in control of her life. So that when she shared that with me, I told her, I said, you know what? If you told me today, Nada, I don't think I want to, continue sessions with you. If you told me that today, I would be totally satisfied, because just you having that foundational knowing of self-awareness makes me happy. It makes and I'm pleased, because anything that you go forward from this point on and doing, you can do it from a space of knowing that you won't be out of control, because you know how being in control feels. And not only know how it feels, but you know how to get back to center when you get off. So she's extremely ecstatic and pleased that she's now able to have control of her life, because she's recognized her own self-awareness, basically.
That is awesome.
Thanks.
So awesome. Self-awareness is so very important. So very important. We have to get in tune with and know who we are. And like you're saying, when you have that self-awareness, you have that knowing, it changes everything about you.
It does.
And it makes life so much easier.
It does.
So I think it's a beautiful thing that you're able to guide women and girls how to tune into that and to know and to, because self-awareness and self-love is so very important. It's something that we have to have. You know, and people that are suffering, you know, it's when people go through things, it may seem like you're going through it like you're never going to get out of it, but there is hope at the end. There is hope. So I think it's awesome that you were able to offer that service and be a guide and help people to come out of that. I think that's just beautiful.
Thank you.
Can you share how to get in touch with you, your contact information?
Absolutely. Okay, so my phone number is 313-462-0966. Okay, that was my phone number. And to reach me via email, they can reach me at woman.arise@yahoo.com. And I do have a website. It is Nada Crystal, NADA, Crystal, CRYSTAL.com. And it is under revamping right now, but they definitely still can visit it, visit the website to, see, some of the past postings and some of the, other things that, I've posted there while it's still going under revamping. And then for those that are on Facebook, they can definitely visit me or learn a little bit more about me at facebook.com / Theraveda Guide, which is spelled THERAVEDA Guide, GUIDE. Awesome.
There's one more thing I want to ask. What is your take on the diet, like how we eat? How does that affect us?
Oh, wow. Yeah. So conscious eating is, I can't even say important, because it's beyond important. Because if we look at the dynamics of food, because everything in existence carries a vibration. Everything in existence carries a vibration, whether it's a very low one or a very high one. And because, again, I operate from an energy-based perception of all beings, that we are energy-based. And when you look at our food and our food choices and our ability to choose food, I personally would think that we would choose the foods that best support the vibration that we're aiming to vibrate at.
Yeah.
And the self will actually tell you or instruct you as to what foods actually it may need during a certain time. That again is one of the beauties of being self-aware and being in tune with the higher self. Because what you may be consuming this week, you may need something different next week. So And it really does just depend upon your energetic needs at that time. So, again, it's so very important to consciously, I know most of us will have those slip-ups where we eat things that we, quote-unquote, shouldn't or know better, all that great stuff. But ultimately, at the end of the day, that is actually one of my personal, goals as well, to eat as consciously as I can, because there is an aim that I'm shooting for in regards of my vibration and my energetic abilities. And so I have to support that. I have to support that by that in which I give the physical body, in addition to the energetic self. So it's highly important.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Just the whole idea of us being vibrational beings, energetic beings, and the foods that vibrate, they vibrate too. Everything is energy.
Absolutely.
And if you're aiming for that self-awareness, if you're aiming for that higher consciousness to vibrate at a higher frequency and to become more positive and optimistic, it is very important when we, the things that we eat.
Absolutely.
And, raw foods, a variety of fruit and vegetables, steamed foods.
Right.
What's your take on meat? What's your take on, do you recommend eating fish, chicken, prepared a certain way? And you mentioned water, too. I think water is very important. So what's your take on intaking meats? What do you think about that?
Well, I say this, everyone has their own path to walk. Everyone's path is uniquely different and is specified to them, okay? So what my personal preference may be in regards of my aim for my energetic vibration may not be that person's. So my response to that is whatever self is saying for you, if you know that eating meat drains your vibration or severely brings it down, then I would safely say then don't consume it. But if you've done the quote unquote self-study to see that, okay, if I eat meat X amount of times during a day, I still can achieve that vibration that I'm aiming for, then okay. But I'm not here to quote unquote to dictate to people what they should and shouldn't eat, because ultimately they're held responsible for self and their own choices. I only can say, guess what? Everybody is unique. Whatever works for you, and if it's helping you to achieve your goal, and if it's holistically helping you, then go for it. I personally know people that's vibrating really high and they consume meat. So it really just depends on your It just depends on your personal path, basically.
Absolutely, and I totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much, Nada, for being on the show today. You've truly been a blessing to me as well as the audience that's listening, I'm hoping. So maybe sometime in the future we'll have you come back on again.
Sure.
Nada Crystal, you have her contact information. Thank you for tuning in to Awakening to Natural Wellness. Consciousness, Spirit, and Holistic Healing, Part 3. Namaste.
When you don't go to Geico.com, car insurance can be confusing. Like Swedish techno confusing.
Bark, bark, meow, meow. Dance with me, purple cow. Bark, bark, meow, meow. Ooh, you lovely cow.
Geico makes it easy. With 24/7 access, all you have to do is go to Geico.com and you could save money on car insurance. It just makes sense. Unlike,
Dance with me, purple cow. I like your moves.